I already tested this slip yoke right here. There's no crack in the outer part of it. There's no play in the there's just an extremely slight amount of play. You can't really measure it, but you can see that it's not seized up, that it is splined the way it's supposed to be, and it does move just ever so slightly like it normally would. And this one up here is this yoke is slipped onto a spline up here onto the end of this shaft, and there's no play there. There's no sign of any rust or anything coming off of that. Those splines were all in great shape when I put them together last year when I did the clutch and I did the carrier bearing here. I'm just putting a large pry bar in here and just prying both directions. And the wheels are not able to turn. You have to watch for that, because if you got a wheel off the ground it might turn and then you won't know what you're getting here. So we do have some play there, but I don't know if it's too much or not. So I got to go inside like the man told me and take that box off and see what's in there. I got the drive shaft supported here underneath right behind the cab by a chain and a bar going across the catwalk, or across the top of the frame there. And since the back of the transmission is down, I got that front end of the drive shaft supported by a what do you call it, a ratchet strap right at the moment. Now before I take the drive shaft off here on the differential, I'm going to re-support part of this carrier bearing. I'll probably stick one bolt in there or something, and I'll probably stick just one bolt in here just to hold this thing up, keep it from coming down, because I don't want this drive shaft is heavy, and I mean, it's not impossible, but it's got some weight to it, so you gotta plan ahead for that, because it's hard to manage it with that much weight. I got that supported back there now temporarily, and these U-joint caps are like, well, the caps on the yoke to hold the U-joint in. They're 12 point, on my truck, they're 12-point half-inch sockets, which is hard to find in a impact socket. So I'm using a chrome socket. That's against the rules, but you do what you got to do, and I'm not going to order a socket and wait for it to show up. I'm going to use my half-inch socket, and if it cracks, I'll weld it up and use it again. That's just the way I do things. Alright, let's take these off. Got these caps off here on the bottom and on top as well, and I just got my pry bar stuck in here right behind the U-joint. The drive shaft is supported. I could support it a little bit more if I wanted to. I got another bar laying up here across the top, but I'm not going to. I'm pretty sure I got enough support. Push this bar behind it and pop this drive shaft out of there, this U-joint out of there, and then push the drive shaft off to the side. It should just hang there on the chain. You got the drive shaft off and pushed over here to the side. That's why it's good to have a bar. A metal bar is really better because the chain will slide on it better than it would on a wood 4x4 or 2x4, whatever, and then you can slide it sideways like I did to get this out of my way. Now I'm up against two possibilities. I can take this nut off while it's mounted on the differential, but I just put a seal in this last year. All of this grease on here is just mostly out of the U-joint. It's not slinging grease. I mean, it's not slinging oil. If it was, it would be coming out the back side of this thing here, not the front. At least that's where I would expect to find it. I know it'll come out of there in the back if there's a seal out. I don't think it's going to come out the front. So anyway, I'm going to, I got to make a decision. Either take these bolts out of this piece right here, pull this out as one unit, or go ahead and take this off, clean it up. Maybe that's what I should do. Go ahead and do that, and then it'll be a little bit lighter weight too. I'm going to use a 3/4 drive. This is a pretty high-powered Ingersoll 3/4 drive. Is what I use for taking lug nuts off. And I got a 2 1/4 inch socket. Yeah, it's chrome too, because I don't have a 3/4 drive socket that size in a black socket, but it's a pretty heavy socket. It's real thick. Anyway, I'm going to use that to take that off. Got that big nut off of there, and there's a big washer behind the nut. Got that off. And now I'm going to be putting a pry bar behind this on one side and tapping the other side from behind with a hammer and work this thing right off of here. There's always a possibility that it won't come off like that, and if that happens, which this one will come off, but what I could do is drill a hole through an old U-joint and like weld a nut or thread it and put a bolt in it and just clamp that U-joint in here, and then run that bolt through and pull this thing off like that. But I'm pretty sure I don't have to do that. They do make a press for this, but it's easy to just take an old U-joint that fits and do that and make one like that. It popped loose. Now I got to take it down. In my case, these are 18 millimeter, and I do have a black socket, impact socket that size, 1/2 inch drive, and I'm going to go and get this piece off of there. This is my first time doing this. I'm learning on this. I think we are above the oil level in there, but I'm putting a pan down here anyway before I take the last bolt out. Found a little place behind this particular ear where I can get a pry bar in and start working this out a little bit, and then now I got room to get under this one, and I'm going to work my way around.